Hello everyone, and welcome back to Whispers of Turkish Stars. It's always a thrill to have you here, and today we're stepping into a story that has set timelines ablaze and comment sections on fire. We're diving into a moment involving two names who dominate the Turkish entertainment conversation whenever they're even whispered about: Mert Demir and Afra Sarıkoglu. The headline that sparked all the noise says it clearly. Mert Demir loses his cool, and Afra Sarıkoglu's response leaves him without words. Buckle up, because we're going to trace the beats of what sparked this tension, how it fits into their journey, and why Afra's reaction is the piece everyone can't stop talking about. Before we unpack this, a little reminder: if you want the freshest breakdowns, the sharpest gossip, and the most thoughtful analysis of what's really going on behind the glitz, hit subscribe to Whispers of Turkish Stars. Your support is the reason we're able to bring you these layered takes on the stories everyone's whispering about. Now let's get into the heart of the matter. Mert gets angry. Afra's reaction leaves him speechless. That phrase has been reposted everywhere, dissected in threads, and thrown around with all sorts of theories attached. And it's not surprising. Mert, known for his composed charm and quick wit in interviews, is not the type we often see visibly rattled in public. He tends to project a calm steadiness, a centered energy that fans and colleagues alike praise. So when the word angry is linked to him, curiosity rockets. What rattled him? Who pushed the line? And why was Afra's response the thing that flipped the script? To grasp the weight of this moment, we have to remember who they are together. Mert Demir and Afra Sarıkoglu skyrocketed as a duo with their magnetic work on Yali Kapkini, where they breathed life into Ferit and Seyran with a chemistry that felt raw and unforced. That magic didn't just win ratings, it created a bond with viewers that's intensely personal. Whether you see them as collaborators, as two people who understand each other on a deeper creative level, or as a pair who move with a kind of quiet harmony, their tandem is compelling. They've kept their private boundaries firm, but even with that care, the public fascination never fades. So what could set Mert off? Let's deal with the obvious. The spotlight is bright and relentless, and the line between admiration and invasion is thinner than anyone outside the circle can fully understand. Cameras track movements. Questions push into personal spaces. Social media, endlessly hungry, turns every small incident into a saga. It's not a stretch to imagine a boundary crossed. An intrusive question, a loaded claim, or a jab aimed at character. Maybe it happened backstage at an event where someone thought bold meant disrespectful, or in the flash of paparazzi lights outside a restaurant when the goal was provocation over truth. Even the steadiest person reaches a limit. If Mert's patience snapped, it likely wasn't over something trivial, it was something that touched a nerve he usually protects. Another theory floating around suggests it could have been about work. Whispers about casting decisions, distorted stories about on-set dynamics, or a rumor mischievously framed to pit colleagues against each other. Mert's reputation as thoughtful and collaborative makes it easy to see how a narrative suggesting the opposite might hit hard. Still, when you strip it down, the most plausible spark is external pressure crossing into personal territory, privacy undermined, integrity questioned, or peace shattered by noise. But here's the puzzle piece that makes this story unforgettable: Afra's reaction. The headline doesn't say she argued, matched his emotion, or fed the fire. It says her response left him speechless. That implies depth, not volume. It paints a picture of someone who, rather than escalating a heated moment, shifted the temperature of the room with intelligence and composure. Imagine this. Mert, already carrying the weight of something sharp that landed too close to home. Here's another intrusive question framed like a trap. He bristles, voice a little tighter, posture stiffer. His words, though not shouted, hold heat. And then Afra steps in, not to scold, not to silence, but to anchor. She meets the provocateur with calm eyes and a sentence that redirects everything. Something simple yet disarming, something that diffuses the moment without diminishing Mert. Perhaps a reminder slipped between the lines: we're not obligated to let others set the tone. Maybe she adds a light touch of humor, the kind that turns a blade into air. Or maybe she offers a truth so steady it can't be argued with, a truth that makes noise look small. There's another way to read speechless, too. Perhaps Mert expected solidarity and fire, a mirrored anger, a justified tirade, a storm shared. Instead, Afra gives him understanding. She doesn't sugarcoat what happened. She doesn't deny how thick the pressure feels. But she meets agitation with clarity. Sometimes when you're wound tight, the most surprising thing isn't a fight, it's gentleness. And when gentleness arrives, not as appeasement but as strength, it can stun you into quiet. It can take the air right out of your anger and replace it with perspective. What if the moment wasn't even about a direct clash with someone outside? What if the trigger was a rumor built to undermine, and Mert, protective and principled, took it personally because he knew how such narratives can affect not just him, but Afra, their colleagues, and their body of work? In that reading, Afra's response might be the reminder: not every wave deserves to be fought, some are better watched as they break and disappear. She could have lifted his focus back to what is real. The work, the people who matter, the quiet victories no headline will ever capture. That kind of response doesn't just calm a storm, it reframes it. We have to remember, while Mert and Afra live in the public eye, they are still two people navigating pressure most of us will never feel. They balance applause with skepticism, praise with suspicion, and an endless chorus of opinions about their choices, their friendships, their future. And yet, the mark of their character has always been in how they show up for their craft, for their teams, and, in moments like this, for each other. No shouting match in this story. No chaos. Just a moment where one person caught another before the anger carried him farther than he wanted to go. Make no mistake, details remain private, and they likely will. People close to them know the full shape of the moment, and that's where it should stay. But what we can read between the lines of this headline is a simple truth about them. Mert is deeply human under that polished calm, and when something threatens the integrity of what he values, he feels it. Afra, for her part, is a master of centered energy, elegant, empathetic, and incisive. She can hold space for frustration without being consumed by it, and that composure becomes a lighthouse in tricky waters. Consider another possible scenario. The flash of a camera too close, a question baited with innuendo, a rumor framed like fact. Mert steps in, protective. A few sharp words. A tense silence. Afra turns, not away, but toward. A hand on his arm. One precise sentence, private, maybe, just for him, reminding him of the ground beneath his feet. He looks at her, and the expression in his eyes shifts from fire to focus. Speechless not because he's defeated, but because the person who knows him best just anchored him with a truth he needed to hear. What makes this story resonate isn't scandal, it's recognition. We recognize the exhaustion that comes from being misunderstood. We recognize the relief of being seen by someone who refuses to let the world define you. When Afra's reaction is described as leaving Mert speechless, it suggests she chose a response that required strength of a different kind. No spectacle, no performance, just a poised refusal to hand their piece over to chaos. If you zoom out, the lesson is bigger than a single tense exchange. It's about how people who navigate fame sustain themselves. Anger can be a flare for justice, but without ballast it burns energy fast. Calm isn't weakness, it's strategy. Empathy isn't passivity, it's intelligence. And the balance between the two, one person advocating, the other steadying, can transform a volatile moment into a turning point. Of course, fans are speculating. Was Mert defending a boundary? Was Afra shutting down a narrative with a sentence that made every microphone irrelevant? Did they leave together afterward, silent in the car for a minute before laughter slipped back in? No one beyond their circle can say for sure. But the emotional truth here doesn't need exact quotes to land. What matters is that when things got hot, Afra didn't pour fuel on the fire, she poured clarity. And that choice didn't just calm Mert. It elevated him. So where does that leave us? With a reminder that even those who seem invulnerable have limits, and that the right partner in the right moment can change the whole outcome. The headline may be dramatic, but its heart is simple. Mert felt the pressure, Afra met it with grace. He raised his voice, maybe only a little, and she lowered the temperature without diminishing either of them. He was left speechless not because he had nothing to say, but because what she offered made more noise unnecessary. Thank you for staying with us through this deep dive. Tell us what you think. Was Mert reacting to a cheap shot from the press, a rumor dressed as fact, or a boundary stepped over one too many times? How do you picture Afra's reply, witty, wise, or quietly unshakable? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want more layered takes on the stories swirling around your favorite stars, like this video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to Whispers of Turkish Stars. Every click lets us keep bringing you the stories behind the headlines, with the care they deserve. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and we'll see you in the next video.